and Manny Pacquiao beats me, and he's the next champion. It felt a little. I felt humiliated.
The good thing is my favorite is De La Hoya, because De La Hoya is my inspiration in boxing when I start boxing.
Can he do it?
Cuadra?
Can he do it?
Absolutely.
That's a Mexican
Manny
brother.
Pacquiao's
Oscar needs.
he's a legend, you know.
Some nice ones. Thank you.
He's a legend. I think he can do it.
It started the way these things always do. No press release, no exclusive interview, just a ripple, one line floating through boxing comment sections, TikTok captions, and Twitter threads. Oscar De La Hoya is training with Manny Pacquiao? No behind-the-scenes footage, no confirmation from either camp, but it didn't matter. The second those two names were mentioned in the same sentence, boxing fans lost their minds. Some laughed it off. Some called it straight-up fake. Others, dead serious. If this is real, Barrios is in trouble. Let's clear it up. Oscar De La Hoya is not part of Pacquiao's official camp. He's not in the corner. He's not writing strategy on a whiteboard. But this rumor? It didn't spread because it was confirmed. It spread because fans wanted it to be true. Because when the Golden Boy and Pac-Man show up in the same sentence, after everything they've been through, you pay attention. This wasn't just a clickbait rumor, it was a legacy echo. A power shift reimagined. Because sometimes, even long after the final bell, one fighter can still cast a shadow across another's career. So today, we break it down. The real story behind the fake headline, and why even the idea of Oscar training Manny still hits harder than most punches. It started with a sentence. No source, no confirmation. Just whispers bouncing around TikTok, boxing Twitter, and fan forums. Oscar De La Hoya is training with Manny Pacquiao. Within hours, people weren't asking if it was true. They were arguing why it made sense.
I'm gonna take this city, bitty world by storms, and I'm just getting started. Just like Muhammad Ali, they called him Cass.
Here's the truth. De La Hoya didn't join Team Pacquiao. There's no mitt work, no corner presence, no strategic breakdowns. But that didn't stop the story from spreading. Because both men have been showing up in the fight world again. Oscar training, Manny preparing for his return against Mario Barrios. And that alone gave the rumor just enough fuel.
You got spread over here.
The clickbait titles did the rest. Fans started screenshotting old clips of Oscar training. Others reposted Manny's pad work, and then it snowballed. Oscar's back in shape. Maybe he dropped by the gym? He respects Manny. Maybe they talked game plan? But let's be real, Oscar isn't joining anyone's camp. What we're seeing is digital chaos. Two legendary names moving at the same time, and the algorithm doing the matchmaking. And yet, the reason people believed it for even a second? It's because something about it felt right. Not logical, but emotional. The old rivalry flipping into mentorship. One icon helping another push through one last storm. That's the story boxing fans crave. And sometimes, a fake headline reveals the real truth. Even now, even after everything, Oscar and Manny still live in the same orbit. To understand why this rumor even landed, you have to go back. December 6th, 2008. The MGM Grand in Las Vegas. The fight was called the Dream Match. Oscar De La Hoya, boxing's golden boy, the pay-per-view king, the crossover icon, facing a smaller, faster Filipino southpaw with something to prove.
45 pounds. Since capturing Olympic gold, his professional record stands at 44 fights. 39 victories, including...
Most people thought it would be competitive. Some thought it would be a mismatch, but in Oscar's favor. He was taller. He had the reach. He had the pedigree. But within 3 rounds, it was clear this wasn't just another fight. This was an unfolding. Pacquiao wasn't just faster. He was relentless, precise, ruthless. He circled Oscar, froze him, broke him down with angles the Golden Boy never adjusted to. By the end of round 8, Oscar wasn't responding. His corner stopped the fight. And just like that, Manny Pacquiao became the man who retired Oscar de la Hoya.
It actually took a very tough beating to get me out of the sport.
Like Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao. I mean, he beat the hell out of me. Manny Pacquiao would be right in front of me. He would, after hitting me 15 times, and then I would be ready to hit him, and he would be wide open, and I couldn't pull the trigger.
That night wasn't just a passing of the torch, it was a surgical legacy shift. De La Hoya left the sport. Pacquiao ascended to global superstardom. And in a poetic twist, the man who was once promoted by Oscar would go on to eclipse him. That's why this rumor hits harder than it should. Because when fans hear Oscar training Manny, what they're really hearing is forgiveness, evolution, respect. A rivalry turned into an alliance. The man who once couldn't stop him, now guiding him? They were never meant to stand on the same side. But 16 years later, the idea of Oscar giving back to the man who ended his career, that's not just storytelling, that's legacy on loop. And that's why one fake headline set the boxing world on fire. Because fans remember what happened the last time those two shared a ring, and deep down, they want to see what would happen if they ever shared a corner. If this rumor had involved anyone else, it would have fizzled out in hours. But Oscar de la Hoya isn't just anyone. He's still one of boxing's most powerful names, and not just for what he did in the ring, but what he built outside of it. As founder of Golden Boy Promotions, Oscar isn't just watching the sport, he's shaping it. He's launched careers, negotiated mega fights, and occasionally stepped back into the gym himself. In the past few years, he's floated comeback ideas, sparred lightly in front of cameras, and weighed in on big matchups with surprising sharpness. He's also shown love to Pacquiao publicly, calling him one of the best fighters of our era in multiple interviews. And that's what added fuel to the fire, because when Oscar talks about Pacquiao, it's not bitterness, it's respect. Tactical respect, legacy-level respect. So when fans saw both men trending at once, Manny ramping up for a new fight, and Oscar appearing more and more in training videos, the math felt easy. Maybe they linked up, maybe it's a private move, maybe Oscar's just trying to help one last time.
Please, Manny, tell me the truth. Why? That's it. That's it. Why? Why are you coming back? And the warrior that Manny is, he's gonna be like, because I love to fight and I want to fight the best, and I've been watching boring fights and I want to come back and give a show against Barrios, who's a world champion.
The timing added tension too. Pacquiao's training again, De La Hoya's active again, both legends back in motion. And let's be honest, if you're a young fighter looking to sharpen your game, you'd kill for input from either one. So when fans imagined Oscar stepping into Manny's world, even just for one session, it didn't feel like fantasy. It felt like strategy. Because in this game, respect between legends doesn't fade. It just finds new ways to show up. Recently, Oscar de la Hoya gave an interview where he was asked about his 2008 fight with Manny Pacquiao. He didn't downplay it. He didn't make excuses. He didn't call it luck. Instead, he did what only a seasoned veteran can. He analyzed it.
Before stepping into the ring with Manny Pacquiao, Oscar de la Hoya had this to say.
I was getting beat up in training camp when preparing for Pacquiao. So I knew that was the end already for me, because Pacquiao was just coming up.
Yeah.
Pacquiao was like the star in the making, but what really screwed up my whole training for that fight was I started drinking heavy during training camp, and nobody knew. I mean, so I was literally a dead man walking into the ring, and I had no chance whatsoever. And it's a true story.
Oscar explained that the power he felt from Pacquiao wasn't overwhelming in a single shot. It was something different, something cumulative, not a bomb, but a blade. And he's right. Pacquiao didn't win that fight with one punch. He didn't drop Oscar or knock him cold. He broke him down round by round, with angles, with speed, with volume. Oscar's body quit before his will ever did.
In May, fighting Manny Pacquiao is something entirely. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya hasn't got up to schneid. He's getting nice straight left hand by Pacquiao.
That's the essence of Manny's style. He doesn't beat you with brute force. He overwhelms you with rhythm. He slices instead of smashes. And if you can't adapt by round 3, you're toast by round 8. That's why fans bought into the idea of Oscar giving Manny pointers. Because Oscar didn't just feel those combinations, he survived them. He knows what it's like to be on the receiving end of that pattern. And if there's anyone who could help dissect it, refine it, maybe even slow it down for a new opponent, it's the man who once stood frozen in front of it. Oscar never disrespected Pacquiao's power. He decoded it. And in boxing, that's the ultimate form of respect. Let's say, for argument's sake, the rumor was true. Oscar De La Hoya walks into Manny Pacquiao's camp, wraps his hands, and steps into the gym, not as a rival, but as a trainer. What would he actually bring to the table? For starters, timing. Oscar wasn't just a puncher, he was a technician. Sharp jab, surgical body work, clean foot positioning. If Manny is all angles and speed, Oscar was all fundamentals and control.
Bit low there. Good right hand from De La Hoya. 10 seconds left. De La Hoya hears it. Here's the crowd, acknowledges it. Sugar comes in for more. Gets the left hand again. De La Hoya might have stood.
Now imagine pairing those two philosophies, Pacquiao's chaos with De La Hoya's structure. One overwhelms you, the other dissects you. It's not a clash, it's a fusion. And let's not forget, they're both southpaws turned chameleons. They've switched angles mid-fight. They've adapted to orthodox brawler, slick counter styles. Oscar knows what it takes to adjust, especially when your opponent is younger, taller, and has a gas tank. Pacquiao's next opponent, Mario Barrios, is all of that. If there was ever a time for Manny to tighten his defense, set traps, and control range with patience, it's now. And Oscar's experience, especially at welterweight, could have helped fine-tune that approach.
Now Barrios back to the body and then connects on the left cross. Stuns Ugas and a huge left hook. Caught Ugas.
There's also the mental angle. Oscar's been through fight weeks as the A-side, B-side, crowd favorite, and villain. He's promoted under pressure, lost under pressure, and bounced back again. Manny doesn't need motivation, but having someone beside him who knows how to orchestrate pressure, that changes everything. And it's not like Oscar hasn't given technical advice before. He's been caught on camera coaching Golden Boy fighters mid-round, adjusting guard position, even reminding boxers when to breathe. He's a natural ring general, quietly shaping younger talent with old-school IQ.
At impact, you
Right.
want to tighten your fists? Is that kind of how you do it?
Right, what you do is, at impact, when you're gonna get ready to throw that punch, in your mind you're thinking, I'm gonna throw it, I'm gonna throw it. When it's halfway here, you close it. The reason why we keep it open is because the punch, when it's relaxed, it comes much faster. If you're so tense and you want to throw it so strong, the punch, you can see it in your face. First of all, your opponent can see it in your face, and the punch comes harder but slower.
So yeah, maybe it was never real, but the idea had legs. Because even now, even 16 years after they shared a ring, Oscar still knows how to navigate the storms Manny's about to walk through again. In the old era of boxing, rivalries were sacred lines in the sand. You fought a man, you buried the hatchet in his ribs, not in the handshake after. But something's changed. This generation, it's different. Now we see legends teaming up. Fighters who once went to war are now cornering each other. Andre Ward helping Shakur, Roy Jones Jr. guiding Chris Eubank Jr. Even Floyd, once allergic to vulnerability, is stepping in to coach and mentor behind the scenes. And that's why Oscar training Manny didn't feel impossible. Because in today's fight world, knowledge is currency. Legacy is collaborative. You don't just pass the torch, you light someone else's. If Oscar did stop by Pacquiao's camp, even just to observe, even just to offer a few quiet words, that alone would have meant something. Because when your rival turned respectful equal drops insight, you listen harder. This shift is about more than game plans. It's about healing old wars, about showing that even in a brutal sport, growth doesn't end with retirement. It evolves.
The inspectors talking to Oscar and a consensus, and he came right over and congratulated Manny Pacquiao. You can't remember a time when Oscar De La Hoya got hit so much.
And for fans, seeing those story arcs come full circle, fighters who once fought now lifting each other up, it hits deep. Because it reminds us what's really behind the gloves: history, humility, and the fact that sometimes the guy who beat you ends up being the one who teaches you best. So let's bring this back to reality. Manny Pacquiao isn't training for a tribute match. He's not throwing punches for nostalgia. He's gearing up to fight Mario Barrios on July 19th, a real contender. 10 years younger, taller, stronger, and fresh off a dominant win. This isn't exhibition energy. This is a risk.
He does it at times, Barrios, and he's really effective with it. Anywhere he's going, the 12-round distance, it's a pin by split reality, so he's been in.
And that's exactly why the rumor about Oscar hit so hard. Because if there was ever a moment for Pacquiao to lean into experience outside the speed bag and sprint drills, it's now. Barrios isn't some journeyman. He's a hungry, rangy fighter who's been tested in real wars. Pacquiao still has the speed, still has the footwork. But at 45, he needs something more than instinct. He needs efficiency, breathing room, tactical reads before exchanges. And that's where a guy like Oscar would fit. Imagine Oscar reminding him, don't overextend on the left. Control the center. Make him reach. Touch the body early to slow his rhythm. That kind of detail? That's not flash, that's survival. And while the world debates whether Manny still has it, the smartest fighters in the room are thinking about how he uses what he has left. Oscar's presence, even hypothetically, shifts that question. From can he keep up to can he control the pace? Fight isn't about recreating the old Manny, it's about evolving him. And whether Oscar stepped in or not, the fact that so many believed it tells you exactly what kind of fight Pacquiao is walking into. Let's call it what it is. The title was clickbait. Oscar training with Manny? That's bait 101. No source, no footage, no quote. But you clicked. And so did everybody else. Why? Because boxing fans aren't just watching for knockouts. They're watching for storylines, for comebacks, for unlikely alliances. And this headline? It didn't promise a scoop, it promised a moment.
Right here you see Pacquiao landing punch after punch, and it's not so much just the way he's landing them. The body language and position of De La Hoya's body is that of a man that's defeated. It's passive.
The reason it worked is because it didn't feel forced. These two names have history. Their 2008 fight was career-defining for both. Their rivalry was clean, professional, and respectful. So when the idea came back, not as opponents but as partners, it clicked emotionally before it clicked logically. And here's the deeper truth. Sometimes clickbait isn't just bait, it's code. It's the internet's way of saying, this might not be real, but it feels real enough to be worth hoping for.
I'm sorry. You're my idol. You're my idol. Whatever happened, man. All right. Just to repeat the exchange I just heard, Manny said to Oscar, you're still my idol. And Oscar said to Manny, no, now you're my idol.
Think about how many clickbait headlines don't stick, but this one did. Because deep down, fans aren't dumb, they're romantic. They know legends fade. They just want to believe that sometimes two of them might walk the same path again, even if it's just for a few rounds or one corner. So no, Oscar didn't train Pacquiao, but the fact that so many people thought he might, that tells you everything you need to know about their shared legacy. Here's the twist most people miss. Oscar De La Hoya and Manny Pacquiao don't have to train together to influence each other, because legacy doesn't need proximity. It leaves fingerprints on styles, on stories, on the way future fighters think, move, and adapt. Oscar didn't walk into Pacquiao's gym, but his name, his presence, still changes the conversation. It's symbolic. The man Pacquiao once dismantled in the ring is now seen, by some fans, as a possible ally. That's not clickbait. That's evolution. Because real legends aren't remembered just for their fights. They're remembered for how they stay relevant, even when they're not throwing punches. De La Hoya still walks like a fighter, Manny still trains like he's 25, and the world still stops when their names collide in a sentence. Even if that sentence is completely made up.
You used to keep your hair like here.
Yeah, I was right here. I was always right here.
Oscar, remember when
I like how you did
punch
that.
everything inside?
Right, don't do
They were
that.
always shorter.
And then they say, don't do that. And you just keep doing
I never listened.
it. I know.
So what did this fake headline actually give us? Perspective, respect. A reminder that in boxing, some names never really leave the ring. They just keep circling it, teaching without teaching, speaking without saying a word. Because whether he showed up to camp or not, Oscar's impact, still there. In the discipline, in the strategy, in the fact that we're still talking about it. Subscribe to Knockout for more fight rumors, legacy breakdowns, and real talk behind the headlines. Drop a comment. Would you want to see Oscar and Manny in the same corner one day? And if they did team up, what fighter do you think they'd build together? This is Knockout, where legends don't retire. They rewrite the rules.